Welcome to the Heartwork Podcast, where we delve into stories, struggles, and triumphs of entrepreneurship, leadership, and personal growth. I'm Dr. Sara.
And I'm Dr. Marisa. We're here to guide practitioners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and those just navigating the complexities of life on a journey of discovery that explores the dance between passion and strategy, heart and hustle.
With candid conversations, insightful interviews, and plenty of laughs, get ready to uncover how leading with heart can transform your business and life. Let's dive in. Hey, y'all. So today we are going to talk a little bit about what this last year has looked like. How fun is that? Like, one of the things that Marisa and I actually talked about before we hit record was that she was having telepathy. There we go. And that she was like, oh, I was thinking about that too. Like, we both were on the same wavelength of really wanting to talk about what this last year has looked like for us individually, of what some of the lessons that we've really feel like we've been invited into this past year. And it's funny because my husband and I did this. I actually was with some friends the other day, and we also were really just like celebrating and reflecting back on the last year and dreaming for ourselves and for each other for the following year. And I think at this time of year, a lot of people are doing this. It's like you're giving reflection, but I think it's really easy also just to like look forward and like always look to the next thing and the next productivity or the next like growth or the next movement that you want to participate in, and not necessarily always give a lot of reflection for where you came. And I think it's just really beautiful and a really beautiful invitation to look at what you have navigated and what you've really given space for. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're not even going to look to the next time. We're going to look at just what has been for what we're excited to see and witness. And I was describing it. I feel like I have lived 2 lives the past year, and I have like a point of my life. I'm sure actually you do too, knowing like what's happened to you this past year. I have literally a point of time where I feel like all of a sudden something switched. And it was when I went to Montana. Was like one of those moments where I was just like, all right, when I look back at the last year, something started to shift a different direction from that space, from that trip that I took this year. And I feel like the rhythm that I was entering into the start of 2025, there was a lot of movement that really activated a lot of my performance ego. There were a lot of things that really instilled this need to produce, to grind, to look toward money, to look toward success, or to have this space of fame and notoriety. It's like there were a lot of like my ego really was gravitating to a lot of that. And the first half of my year, I feel like it was like all I was wrapped up into. It's like all I wanted was this continuation of like more. I need to have more money. I need to have more success, and I need to have all this. And what the crazy part about what I was feeling and understanding is like, I wasn't finding it. I wasn't seeing it become easy. I wasn't seeing myself like get it, like I wasn't like, I was still navigating stuff with freedom that was just harder and challenging. And it made me like really question a lot of where I was and like all that too. And like, and I like have individual coaching clients. And so that also added like this rhythm of some, again, beauty, but also it's like I was looking at it from like a financial monetary gain instead of like the opportunity that it came. And it's so interesting because, again, just when you take a big picture back, you're like, holy crap, who is this person? And also like the opportunity to say is like, man, like what a gift, because it also gave me opportunity to like come up to a space of, is that actually what you really want? And doesn't mean you can't run after success in life and abundance, but what then switched for me is like, what actually was it that my heart actually wanted versus what I feel like my mind and my like brain wanted. Like I was logically trying to plan my life based off of what I saw from other people, what I perceived I needed to be doing, how I was going to build my fucking empire, like all these things based off of instead of like what actually was true for Sara. And then I'm sure like if you guys listen to this freaking podcast back this past summer, I was asking a lot of questions like, what the fuck do I want? Like, I don't
Mhm.
know what I want. I don't know what I want with my business. I don't know what I want with my personal life. I don't know what I want with my relationship. Like, it was just kind of this, like, I feel like I came to this place of surrender and also this, like, understanding of, like, I can't, like, grab my hands around it and force an outcome based off of what I've done in the past. This is, like, another level of understanding that I get to go into and really get clear on, and it's also kinda wild because sometimes I think we truly do get forced into situations, LOL, a little bit of your story, and so, like but, like, I think we get, like, opportunities where we get a huge invitation because we're, like, either forced into it or it's just, like, a bigger moment, and I definitely think I was, like, very clearly, like, given space of understanding, but it wasn't like I don't know, like, it wasn't one of those moments where I felt like I just had this, like, aha, like, big space. It was just an accumulation over time where now I get to, like, look at it and say, like, "Wow, okay, actually, yes, Montana was very influential," and then I still was asking a lot of those questions of, like, "What is it that I want over the next season?" And so
Mhm.
I think just also permission for you, sometimes you don't have to be forced into something to have a clear understanding of what you're being invited into. It can also be a season and a rhythm because healing looks like something different for every single person. That's why I'm saying that. Like it sometimes I think we have to release the time frame of what we're trying to understand and find clarity in versus this like huge picture of like, okay, cool, this actually happened. Now I get to navigate what this is for my life. And that's also true even if you physically or, like, literally have something crazy in your life that happened to be able to allow you to see it. So then as I just look back at, like, the second half of this year, it really has been a cool picture of finding what it's like to actually trust my true self and what it is that my heart wants and
Mhm.
falling back in love with Sarah, falling back in love with the creative side of me, the things and why I decided to do what I ended up doing in the first place. It versus focusing on the outcome and the result, it kind of shifted so much for me where it was like I want to actually be really intentional with the heart side of things and what it is that my heart actually wants. And I still, I'll be honest, I really don't have a clear understanding of what that is. Like, I feel like I have a little bit of a glimpse of like what it is that my heart wants. But I think the cool thing that I'm going into this next season is like actually letting myself be more creative, letting myself be more playful, letting myself have more flow around things versus just the logical side of what it looks like to run a business and to have success and to have monetary gains and letting it actually be something that comes from intuitively inside of me versus again it has have to be having to be something that I've already perceived to be done for myself. And so it just feels like a very different uh, image reflection like I feel a lot more, like, at ease. I feel a lot more at rest and peace. I had one of my friends, she's like, "I can feel it off you. Like, you feel so
Mhm.
much more playful and silly and, like, you're okay just to let loose." And I'm like, "Yeah, I fucking feel it because I'm not just like, holding so tightly onto my freaking life right now, trying to make something of my life," you know? And, um, I think our ego desperately wants us to be pulled toward that full self and to that version of ourself that we built up to allow people to see pieces of ourselves that we are good, we are worthy, we are valuable, when in turn, our true self really is the one that when we get to know that version of ourself, it's like we can already come from a space of being loved. We can already come from a space of being like worthy and make choices from that space that we are already a beloved human being on this earth that has an abundance, that has an inheritance that already is being provided for. And can we just operate from that space of trust and
Yeah.
presence and come from that? It just feels way more, like, real to me, and this year has been a lot of money identity, it's been a lot of productivity identity, it's been a lot of working through a lot of even relational stuff for my husband and I, like, it's really been a lot of work, but it's been so freaking beautiful. I can look at it now and be like, "What the freak? I don't know what this year was," but also at the same time, I'm so freaking grateful for it. So, yeah, a lot of things to celebrate. I'm excited for what is to come.
A lot of things to celebrate. It's so
Mhm.
fun. I love oh my gosh. Our relationship is so cool, Sarah.
Oh,
Just
no.
find that out there. Y'all need to find yourself a Sarah and a Marisa, if you don't already
Uh-huh.
have one. It is just like when you actually have a friendship that is really based off of like seeing the other person and having presence with them and truly like walking with them, right, in life. It is just so rewarding and so fun when you get to do something like this and like reflect back on the person that you've continued to grow. And like for me, the person that I continue to get to like be in relationship with and be in friendship with and like discover, it's just so cool because this would have been a very different conversation if we had this last December, you know, about like what we were looking to and what we were discovering and what we were looking for. Like it's just so it's just so amazing when you really do get to be again walking alongside someone versus pushing them, pushing you, forcing yourself in competition in just like when you really truly have a friendship that's based off of seeing each other, understanding each other and just having that empathetic space for each other, just holding a spot for each other, like, you really do get to be privy to someone's life in a really special way. It's just really I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. For those of you who know, you just I guess you just you know. And for
Yeah.
those of you who don't, I just encourage you to, like, evaluate maybe your friendships and, ooh, like, what cups are we pouring into? What cups are being poured back into yours? And not in a sense of a tit for tat, like, I'm not going to do this for you because you're not doing this for me, but just recognize where you feel energetically called to spend more time in versus where energetically you may just feel resistance with. And I encourage you to like really reach into those relationships or friendships. And if you notice that it's you that hasn't really been showing up in the way that you want to for your people that truly like make you feel calm and safe and energetically just blend with you. That's my invitation as you walk into this next year to bring that with you and just start showing up in the way that you actually want to because gosh, the like fruits of like a friendship like this is just so it's indescribable and it's invaluable. Um Sarah talked a
It's true.
lot about things of the summer and of business and life, and it's so funny also. I feel like when you do also have friendships like this, you tend to like navigate situations in like sequence with each other too. I feel like
It's wild. Like, if you actually look at this past year for both of us, different scenarios, right? Like, I think that's the coolest part. Like you said with friendships, it's like it's different
Mhm.
scenarios, but they line up and you can relate, especially if you
Mhm.
are in relationship at this like heart level. You don't have to go through the same thing, but you can hold space and you can relate to what that individual is going through. What it's
100%.
like gives me chills as I'm saying it. It's like such a freaking gift.
It is. And it's like, it's wild because I feel like I'm in a little bit of that space that you navigated before Montana. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of that was catapulted. So, like, the first half of the year for me really was about trying to navigate more of the, like, delegation game. This year for me has very much been a business-centered and a business-focused building year. And I kind of designed it that way. Like, I mean, I know when you start talking about stuff like this, you open yourself up to thoughts, but that's what heart work is. We're just opening ourselves up to the public. So, like, Alex and I have always said we wanted 2 years to be married and just to enjoy each other and continue to build our foundation. We also got married at the same time or around, engaged, and then married within my first year of business. And so, when you are truly putting yourself into something and building something, like, you're giving a lot of your all to it. So he and I have just navigated our own personal rhythms around, you know, when I first had my practice in Jersey, we had a long distance phone relationship and it's really easy to text someone and spend a couple minutes doing that or a couple minutes on a phone call and then go right back to work. Versus when you're in person with someone and you're building something like those quick nuggets of quality time don't really cut it. And so you're just navigating the process of like, okay, now we're not just living in our own places, but now we're sharing the same space on a more regular basis, right? It's not just like fun weekends or like a week at a time situations. And um figuring out your rhythm around quality time not only with your spouse and your partner but like yourself. And so this year was going to be the year at the end of this year, this last quarter, where we were going to then say, okay, Is it still in alignment that we want a family? And like, are we going to start this thing now? And so the goal with this year, the objective I really had with this year was to set up my business where I felt safe to the point where I could kind of release more control to be able to then divulge more attention to the potential of starting our family. And that's where I hired my first associate doctor in March. And we had always talked about hiring another full timer in October. And so just navigating a little bit more of that build and like wanting to create and bring people along created a little bit of a like, no, guys, like we're doing this. We're on the bus, we're on the train, like we're moving, the plane is flying, like figure it out, like we got to go. And there was also part of me that was like saying that, but not necessarily apparently doing that to the best of the quality and ability I could. And also, like, we were diving more into hard work and creating our first, workshop weekend and all the energy and, you know, promise and push in that. Um, that as that weekend came along and you guys have learned and listened to the episodes where my team sat down and had a conversation with me about truly letting go and also about like serving them and their expectations. Because for me, like I'm a person that can operate really well under pressure. I am a person that can operate well with time. I can kind of mold and chameleon my way through those things. I have a capacity and a gift for public speaking and for just getting up and sharing. And not everyone else has that capacity. And a lot of people want their time and space to develop and formulate their words and figure out their rhythms and prepare for things. Um, and even though I can just do it on the fly of a whim, doesn't mean everyone else should. And also, side note, just because I can doesn't mean I should either, because there
Right.
is a rhythm around like, hey, no, when I go home, like I want my own personal time to decompress. And for me, it's like I go home and I spend some time with my husband and then it's like, okay, what else can I get done this evening? Right. Like very much still in the doing again with this like guise and this objective of like, well, if I do now, I can rest later. But I think we can all get ourselves into a little mix of, well, it just keeps doing and the rest just keeps getting pushed to that later date, right? Because it becomes this arbitrary, very fluid guideline and sequence. And so a week later, at the end of September, I tore my Achilles tendon. And so that very much forced a quick rest and a different sense of embodying what it actually means to really start to let go of certain things and be present for your life and your business in different ways. And also go into a position where you can't really do a lot. And so you do end up relying on other people to help you literally facilitate like daily activities in a way that just shock you because you're an independent, self-reliant person that has never needed
Right.
to ask for anything, and if it happens too slow, you can just do it yourself. But here, you cannot. And so that was really fun, and it was really fresh, and it was a really beautiful time for me. There are still moments that I have that I'm like, "Fuck this shit. Why did this freaking happen? I hate this. I hate life. Like, what the fuck?" And then there are times where I'm like, "This was literally the best thing that could have ever happened to me, and I'm so grateful for the time." But it's funny because as I'm working my way through that and now kind of coming back into the fold of operating a small business and navigating conversations about a future family and moving in the area, not like a big move from Iowa to Jersey again or anything like that, but just like navigating just changes of rhythms of life. I found myself being very tempted and pulled back into production. And
Oh,
what's funny is I'm in this weird space of like, when I was in Jersey, I was so down and in a very low energy frequency and very like, I just want A, B, C. I will be happy if I just have A, B, C. I don't need anything else. I'm realizing that business isn't everything when I don't have my person. I just want to go back to the Midwest and be with my human and live in my life there. And you pray so hard for something and you get it. And then you're here and you're living life that you said you wanted. And I have my partner. I have we live comfortably. I have my business. Like life is simple and good. And it's like, then there's still this like little pull at you that's like, well, you were created for more, yeah? Like,
Uh-huh.
there's like other heartstrings that are like tugging and pulling at you. And it's okay to say that I still want from my life, even though I have these things now. So it's a weird little in between to feel like you are grateful for what you prayed so hard for and now have, but also are still like hungry and
Uh-huh.
wanting to see and like experience and um, that, like, little dichotomy of, like, am I being selfish for asking or wanting for more of my life and my experiences or of what I want to, like, contribute and, like, the legacy that I want to also leave, especially as I get into the conversations of family because I want to leave a legacy for my children in the way that my ancestors left legacy for me. And so I'm like, I feel like I'm a little electron for all my nerds out there, just like floating in this atom, like zigzagging front to back, side to side, and upside down and around, and um, trying to navigate that rhythm of like, no, it's been really nice coming home at 6:30 to 7:30 at night versus 8:30 to 11 o'clock at night sometimes. And it's been nice saying, like, no, this doesn't need to get done right now. This can get done later. While at the same time, there's still moments of life that you experience in the sense of like people get sick or people are asked for time off or things change in your business and the reliability that you have on other people to facilitate the work that now you are not doing but have delegated to others doesn't get done. That for me is what I'm navigating currently in the sense of like, well, if so and so is not here to do it, who's going to pick up the slack? Is it me? And when it comes to
Uh-huh.
my team, we've created a really beautiful rhythm that my 3 CAs, like, know where to rely on each other, and they know where to pull us doctors in for certain things, but I'm navigating the side of, like, if my doctors aren't here, where does that come back to? Because I have created more of a rhythm of, like, CEO time and taking time for me and what I need to do for the business that if I don't have those other humans there to execute and facilitate the actual service that we provide to the community, well, then I have to provide the service to the community naturally, and I love to do that, but then that pushes everything else back. And I notice myself getting like, "Ooh," now I'm starting to feel the pressure of like, well, I really feel called and driven into doing more of the business ownership and having the time and creating the space and time for that. But if I don't create the space and time for that, then where do I also create space and time for myself? Just
Uh-huh.
to exist, like, as Marisa and enjoy your life, while also trying to create and navigate space and time for relationship and for the potential start of a budding family. And the Achilles injury has put a pause on that because I want to be a little more healed before my body goes through major changes of pregnancy. And no one can predict what the time or the rhythm around that process will look like, right? However, that has, like, obviously just changed our desires for right now in this moment. And so this year has just been really interesting in moving through the pieces of the gap and the gain and the building and the resting and the facilitation of priorities. Because I don't know if there's ever really truly balance, but at different stages and different seasons, different quarters, different months, there's definitely changing priorities based off of what's actually important versus what might feel urgent. And so it's been a true lesson in that as my team has grown and as my business has grown. And I have noticed that with more rest, I am just really enjoying that, but I'm also evaluating the difference between was it truly like, am I truly enjoying it for rest or was I really just burning my flame? And burning the wick at both ends. That like rest was actually something that was so needed because I was actually really burning. I don't know about like burning out, but I was just really, really moving. And so it's
Uh-huh.
like trying to bring back the capacity around feeling like you are existing enough and providing and producing and moving enough while also resting enough and not feeling guilty for the space in between. right? Of like, if I'm not doing, like, what does that mean? Or is this stuff that I'm doing over here just as important as that stuff that I'd be doing over there? It's just, yeah, it's a rhythm. And I think too, when in business and in life, when we go through different changes, that those things always are going to come back up. You know, it's like the triggers are always there. The rhythm is always present. It's just how you process and move through the rhythm and then make decisions for where you're, going to exist and be in next get a little bit easier. But it really has
I think
been an up and down, upside down, topsy-turvy year for me in the same way that this probably conversation has felt very topsy-turvy since I've started.
oh, it hasn't felt that topsy-turvy at all.
That's
I
good. I
flow
feel
and
like
big.
I'm on a merry-go-round and I just can't get off, like one of those, like
Well, I think it's cool because I honestly, I think a lot of people can, relate to that, where
Mm,
you feel like you're maybe having momentum and then you're like, "Well, what the fuck? I feel like I'm slingshotting back to where I
mhm,
was," or, like, trying to navigate how you move through life and have that rhythm, like you're saying. I just giggled and I wrote it down. I think what people and this is just something I feel like I've navigated in this past year and really coming up to the other end of it is the word that you said, am I doing enough or am I resting enough? That word enough
mm,
is a dangerous one, I think,
totally.
because it really sets you up for a lot of shame and a lot of guilt around both. So like if you are feeling this like level of I am not enough if I don't produce enough. I am not enough if I don't rest enough. Like it all comes back to this sense of like worth for ourselves
No, yeah.
if we are trying to figure out the rhythm, you know? And so, because you're 100% right, there is going to be reality of life where sometimes it does require more quote unquote work and it requires more energy. That's just the role of an entrepreneur running a business, like doing all the things. It doesn't mean that we just sit back and we kumbaya all the fucking time, like that we're just like sitting and just like journaling all day and meditating. Like that's not hard work either, right? We're active human beings in our life and actually moving and having rhythm. But I think the thing that at least I'm realizing for myself is so much of the movement can come from a space of trust and rest within that even if you are moving, it's not because you're not enough and that you're not doing enough or you're not resting enough. It's just that it is, that it gets to be what it is, period. And you can just trust that. As crazy as that may sound, it sounds so fucking simple. And I know it's not simple because you and I are both navigating that and have navigated it. It's just, it's not a clear picture. However, it is so fucking simple. It's so crazy. Like it's such a simple thing, but it's not simple until you have full understanding for yourself. So it's like you have to rhythm your journey through it. That's the beautiful part about healing. Is like you get to go through that to be able to experience it. One of the other things I wrote down was I had a conversation with actually my brother yesterday. My brother and I have gone on a very similar and different journey in a relational space and also being a sibling and navigating a lot of our whole family fucking trauma, but just represented different, right? Because we are two different human beings in the sibling journey with it. And this past summer, we both had a very like clear conversational piece that really invited us to go. He was going through his journey, I was going through on my own. And we were actually just talking and we kind of laughed because he said something to me. He's like, I feel like I have looked up to you my whole life just because of the reality of like who you were in our family. Like, I was very much the first child, the leader of our household because of what I went through. Like, basically almost had to hold space for my parents and my brother. And then in turn, my brother had the complete opposite journey. So he had more of a resigned, in which he would be honest and truthful about this. So I'm not speaking something into this. But he had more of a resigned life into that. And so um, and he said, he's like, I literally looked up to you in the life that you created. And he's like, I realized something this like fall where he's like, I was looking up to the life that you created out of the ego that you created it from
Mm.
versus it be and something that you are truly healing from and wanting to heal from yourself. And like it was just this like one of these moments where we both kind of laughed. I'm like, yeah, like I'm fucking working through my own shit. And you're looking up to like out of his own ego, he's looking up to somebody, which again, like our version of our ego has gotten us to the point that we are now. So there's the coolest part about grace and truth. It can exist. And it's gotten us to the point because we're trying to find protection, a safety. We're trying to create something to keep us,
Mhm.
safe overall. And so it's not a bad thing. It's just so fucking cool to when you can actually admit to where like I may look up to so many other people, but I don't fucking know what they're going through or what they're journeying through. And
Mhm.
I don't have to know that to be exist within my own journey. And I can actually be like, okay, I don't need to find somebody else's world to allow me to know what's true for mine. I can actually be very content and be truthful for what my heart wants and what is there instead of looking to all these other things to give me the truth spoken into my life. And I think that's just cool to like, just when you were saying it, I was like, I feel like that is just such a beautiful picture of whether or not it speaks to all things. It's like we all have this. I think there's this level of understanding of like what we feel like we have to do or we have to give to this world versus the space of just being restful and trusting. It's like, yeah, we fucking do have a gift to give this world because God created us. But why do we need to force that to happen? We can just exist and trust that what we are really, really good at and what we have dreams and desires for, and we're navigating through and dreaming about are going to come to fruition because it's
Mhm.
just us existing. As crazy as that may sound. But
No, it's so true, and it just all comes back to letting go a little bit, right? That is what trust is. It is allowing yourself to, like, let go, and it's it's so interesting when you are literally forced or brushing up against those feelings, and one of the things that came through for me when you were talking about, like, just being and existing is really, like, stability. I mean, gosh, like when you hire to grow, you're hiring to grow, right? You're hiring on more people in anticipation of what's to come. And so, like, when you hire for specific reasons, like I hired full-time doc because we were going to start trying to get pregnant this fall. I hired a full-time doc because I wanted other people in there. I knew that we were growing and expanding and busy. And all of a sudden, I'm not in the practice anymore. And we didn't grow for those months. But what did we do? Well, we stayed stable, we survived.
mm,
We actually kept our doors open and were able to serve the community and serve people. And it's funny, like you do get to evaluate the inner stability that you give yourself and the capacity to find your own personal anchor within yourself and your heart because, you know, again, it brings me back to the lesson of like, I'm still navigating really finding what my inner center and inner stability really is because so much of my inner stability I felt came from relationship when I was in Jersey, having a flourishing, crazy, great business. And then I move here and I have my flourishing, crazy, amazing, great relationship and marriage. And then I like am trying to find my stability and now my business. And like that is all I can sometimes sleep, eat, and dream about because I have the stability there. But if I again, it's like if your stability is found in so many external things, then
yeah.
you're when one thing is good, you're always going to look towards the thing that isn't flourishing or growing in the way that you want it to try and create that sense of again, stability, protection, and safety. And we need to do those things. We need basic human needs to survive, right? But sometimes we can look at something that's actually doing really well and be like,
Hmm.
it's still not enough. It could
Yeah.
still do more. I'm putting all the effort in for it to do more. Why isn't it producing more? You know, it's all those same conversations, whether that looks like time with your kids, time with your spouse, time in your business, self-care for yourself, time in the gym. It's just all time. And so, like,
Hmm.
navigating the rhythm around, like, okay, again, where does it come from? Is it really coming from external, or is it really truly something that we need to look internal for? And I think that's also where most people start the process of this discovery because we realize we put everything out into every other basket except for understanding the one that we carry ourselves.
I love what you said about stability. I think a lot of what we look for so much in our life is it comes back to stability and safety.
Mhm.
Like, and you're looking toward the things that are going to give those to you, like you said. And if they don't give them to you, you're going to try to find and force them to actually then be safe or protected. And it's
Right.
based off of your little inner child that has been formulated a certain way your whole freaking life. And then in turn, what you feel like you need to do to again, protect yourself along the
Yeah.
way. And what a brilliant opportunity to understand that, like you said, like the rock that you're standing on, like you're not meant to just survive. Like I love the words you said, like we have, yeah, you have 100%. You can look at that as such a brilliant thing too. It's like your business has survived over this past season of time.
Mhm.
And also at the same time, it's like the survival can have a different perspective of like, what would that actually look like that you were actually completely provided for, completely stable, even in that business, as everything else is like literally around you, been so purposeful
Yeah.
and so brilliantly made
Mhm.
for you to navigate every single thing that you were meant to navigate this season. You know,
100%.
like it was like I look at it and I'm like, you were so brilliantly abundant this past season. Like, I know that not everybody gets privy of this because again, our relationship, but I love the fact that I get to like get Marco Polos from you because we're an hour like different. I get Marco Polos from her now at like 8:30 at night because she's actually going home at 7:30 at night. Like there's so much beautiful rhythm around so much of this life that is flowing and abundantly flowing for you because you're navigating this journey of like what that means to be stable in all facets of your life, you know?
100%. And you talk about the comparison game, like it's also a matter of what you're truly measuring success by.
Yeah.
And one, right? Like success to someone will be like, okay, well, I would measure success by you having a $10,000 higher month than you getting home at 7:30. That if that hour could have produced an ROI like of XYZ because you're there recording another video or you're there doing something else versus quote unquote saving it for another day, like what is the purpose of that, right? And again, there's rhythms where you can push for a season for a purpose and
Sure.
seasons where you need to like evaluate again different metrics of what actual success looks like. Because if we had played the comparison game, if I hadn't hired another doc, if my part time doc couldn't go full time and cover those days, we would have closed 2 days out of the week. Would I be sitting here being like, oh man, like all I would have wanted was for us to just be able to be open and just maintain stability for those 3 months? Like if you know, you're down the ring of the ladder, you're always looking for that next ladder of like what would have been what you would have just oh, if we could have only just been able to do this, if we could have only
Yeah.
just been able to do that. Well, if we had to close, I'm literally looking at myself now being like, damn, if I could have only been able to be open all 4 days and still serve the community with a doctor and now two, what a great thing. Right. And that's literally what I had. So sometimes you
Yeah.
kind of got to like redo your own perspective a little bit too and just evaluate like that's a metric of a success just in and of itself.
Yeah.
Point blank. So when we talk about sometimes like looking at someone else's life and comparing, like there are people that are out there as solo business owners and it's their like livelihood is literally dependent on exactly what they can show up and do for a financial sense of stability. Like that would have been, wild.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, everybody's situation, circumstances are different, but the lessons that we can learn and the things that we can glean from them are really tied to the same thread. I mean, I think we all empathetically can navigate these situations and feeling these ways. I think collectively, there's a lot of individuals that truly are embodying, if you guys have seen it out there, year of the snake energy of like shedding through a lot, discovering a lot, learning what we want to potentially, move through and away from, and what we want to continue to move into and bring with us into 2026. So thank you for coming along this little merry-go-round slash roller coaster ride of all of our fun reflections and things that we have also taken for ourselves from 2025 and will continue to expand on and discover as we walk into 2026. Thanks, y'all.
Bye. So thank you for joining us on another episode of the Heartwork Podcast. We hope today's conversation has inspired you to lead with heart in your business and life.
If you enjoyed this, subscribe so you never miss a release, rate our show, leave us a review, get on our VIP email list, and join our exclusive Facebook group, The Heartwork Life, to plug into our community and learn from us and other heart-led entrepreneurs on a weekly basis.
We look forward to chatting with you next time.
Bye!